I'm J.M. Kennedy.
And I'm Brian Kennedy, the founder of the Kennedy's Project. Grew up in East Baltimore, Maryland. It was more like a survival struggle from the start.
I'm originally from West Baltimore, Maryland. We're both from Baltimore, but two separate sides of town where we're not even supposed to be together. So that's one thing in reference to just our home culture, in reference to where we grew up from. I come from a divorced family. I've never had that weekend dad. I've always had a supportive dad. 90% of the time I lived with my mom. Coming from Park Heights, I couldn't go outside too much. You had to go to school, come home. It was challenging, but I also had a foundation of morals and understanding and what it is to be a human being and being a productive human being, no matter where you come from, no matter what stereotype has been placed upon you before you're even birthed into the world.
On my side, it was just my mom. I had 4 siblings. I was the oldest out of the 4 siblings. My dad got in trouble when he was younger, so I didn't have the opportunity to have a father figure in my life. So and that was one of the things I think that shaped me, as a young man. And just to be honest, just to be realistic, there wasn't a lot of positive people that was in my arena, my circle, to look up to. So I wanted to be praised like some of the other older people. As I got a little bit older, people influenced my life like Mr. Ace from Flag Projects, Mr. Atkinson, he was one of my basketball coaches. And ultimately, when I was transitioning, Mr. Decky. These men really was the embodiment of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be when I grow up.
I had my mom, I had my grandmother, I had a great aunt, I had an aunt, and all those women empowered me to realize to be a wife, to be a mom, to be a helping hand. To know who's first, and God's first. No matter what you do, God is first. And if you put Him above, everything else will flow.
God gives you certain talents, and I think that if you embellish in them talents that you're given, you would live a productive life. That's just one of my beliefs. However, when I was younger, I was just an athlete. I just excelled at, sports-driven things. I think that it was one of my coping mechanisms when stuff would go wrong in my life. There was a lot of gentlemen that was on the corner selling drugs that didn't want me to be a part of that. So what they did was they motivated me and they pushed me to be the best that I can be in them sports. So they say one day I'll come back and I never forget the hood.
Graduated high school at the top 10% of my class, and I went to UMES, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, HBCU. Going across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge was the horizon to know that you're leaving home.
I was projected to go to West Virginia. Ignorance, me having lack of knowledge, I didn't graduate, so I didn't get that chance. I didn't get the opportunity to play college ball on a Division I level. I went to AmeriCorps, got my GED, and then eventually I went to Essex Community College, where I changed careers. And that was the start of me understanding or trying to understand my true purpose. Maryland had programs geared towards kids, so I wanted to see a little bit more of that up here where I'm at, because I wanted my son to be involved with that. I didn't want my son to be another product of his environment and go downhill like some of the things I had to learn from. As I look back, it was so many obstacles. I think one of the biggest ones were just mental, like in your head.
Well, leaving Baltimore to come here.
Yeah.
That was an obstacle.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that was a big obstacle. Well,
yeah.
Since you're talking about that was a big obstacle for me, because I was comfortable with the environment that I was in, even though it was toxic, even though it wasn't a conducive or progressive environment that was comfortable for me. We pray and we trust in a higher God, and and we try to leave it there, so
That's just like when you did your first camp at Phoenix State. Phoenix State is our
home. Yeah, that's our home
that
base.
That feels at home, and
yeah.
I just remember the night before you was just like, oh, okay, hopefully some kids come, how this gonna pan, let's do this. And I'm just sitting there like, it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. It's gonna work out. We try and get all the balls together, get all the equipment together, and you're just quiet. You're just crying. You're just running over stuff. And then the next day, the day comes and we pack all the equipment in our truck and take it up there. And it's like, kids are here. Kids and parents are here. Like, oh my goodness, they are here. Like, somebody's gonna believe in this. Somebody's taking the opportunity to place their kids in my husband's hand. I think that was the bright light for him to say, I can do this. To say that this program is going to flourish. This program is going to be something. He'll have an idea in his dark moments, and he's like, well, how can I manifest this? I have learned to let him go through that, because I know in the outcome is going to be spectacular. One thing I will say, that he can gravitate to dads, to see the progression of fathers who have come along in our program. And
shout outs to all the dads, yes. I think that what I come to find out is, as long as you're doing your best to do the things that you can do under your control, then that's good. That's one of the things that I had to learn. I think that all the trials, tribulations, the bumps, the bruises, the mistakes, the triumphs, I think all of that had to happen for us to be where we is today. And we're still striving. We're still trying to get brick and mortar. We're still trying to get a consistent home for the Kennedy's project. Engaging kids through stuff that they like, but giving them tools to be successful. It was a dream, that was a vision, that through hard work with people in my corner became reality.
If we're able to plant a seed of integrity, honesty, and just sportsmanship, just that feeling of being a part of something, we know that it will get watered by another positive interaction or another positive person. We might not be the one watering it, but we have planted the seed for it to be watered. They always going to remember somebody that has some type of influence in their life. And like I said, we're just seed planters, and Brian has a really gift for that. We can go anywhere. Take Bryce into a practice on basketball, football, whatever, and coach has a football, basketball, soccer, anything type of sport in the back of the trunk, and he will gather kids and start playing, like gather them. I know it brings him joy to know he's touched them and to see them in the street and they're not out here being negative.
A wise person told me a long time ago that a lot of times you water the seeds, you feed it, and then it grows and maybe you're somewhere else to see the growth in them. But to actually for them to come back and for them to say, hey, Mr. Kennedy, this is my son, and me to see, and it makes me feel like I've helped. Like I'm a product of the environment that actually helped, like try to do something.
It's beyond just yourself, it's other people, it's a world out here. And if you're not willing to help one person, how are you willing to help yourself? Because sometimes you have to see another person struggle to get that blessing.
I have my daughters, we have three kids and everything, and my daughter's a little bit older, and constantly I'm telling them, the importance of what I'm doing right now and how it's going to hopefully impact y'all one day. At the end of the day, it's not about me, it's not about us, and that's the big piece. Like the Kennedy's project is not really about the Kennedys. It's more about providing them resources for the kids less fortunate so they can have a fighting chance. We a lot of times talk about the kids whose doing these bad things, and they got guns, and they beating everybody up, and they so violent. Just imagine if you gave them skills to be successful. Or just imagine if you talked to them. Just imagine if you helped them intentionally, not for accolades or for something back. You know, just imagine how better the world would be.
If you want it good enough and you want it bad enough, you'll do what you have to do to get it. To see him go from Phoenix Davis to touch almost every part of York City, that's a big accomplishment, because coming from where we come from, not too many of us make it.
They used to always say, you know what, Brian, you got a bright future. You know, the sky's the limit for you. And I'm here to say it's limitless. Like, there's no sky. Like, it's whatever you would like to do, and if you put in the work and the necessary hustle, then you can accomplish anything. I hope this was educational, and this is the Kennedys.
Oh.
Brian Kennedy, and we are the Kennedys Project.
The reason why we came up and we continue to travel outside of our area is because we want to show the kids that it's kids just like them doing different things with different mindsets. You know, and that's important right now, because a lot of the inner city kids think that what they're doing is right when it's totally the wrong thing. But if they see kids that look just like them doing the right things, then maybe they would change their mindset. That's important. You know, so I appreciate y'all for having us. Thank you.